What's up, guys? Hey, as always, got some more good stuff. This one's kind of funny when you look at it and you see what it's saying. Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, Title 3, Pleadings and Motions, Rule 14, Third Party Practice. Now I'll explain to you what that is. Now, you understand that when they label you defendant, you accept it and you basically remain silent, so then you are the defendant because you volunteer into that. And I can't stress that enough. Every phase of life or getting charged, you volunteer for everything. So it's set up that way because they're very, very smart and educated. They've been doing this for a long time. Now I'm going to read a little bit of this. So it says third party practice. Well, like what would be a third party? Well, a third party would be the person that brought the action or caused the action. So what that really is the defendant, which if it's you, can name the guilty party. Do you understand what that is? You can say who is guilty, and it's the attorney. It's the attorney that caused the action, and for this case to start, he brought the action against you. It's called leave to proceed, and he puts in paperwork that gives up jurisdiction and power, and you're the lamb for slaughter. And he's really the defendant too, but he can be the defendant. So under Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, Title 3, Pleadings and Motions, Rule 14, Third Party Practice. Well, that's just saying you have the option to appoint whoever you believe is the defendant. The police officer, the attorney, which the attorney's the one really. So then you, and the thing about this is, it's within 14 days. So I'm going to read some of this. When a defending party may bring in a third party. That just means you can name the defendant and switch places with them. Now, because they've named the trust or the court case after you, and they've named your trust, used your trust without your permission. So if you're a man and you have an all capital name and that capital name is a trust, then you can separate yourself from that. That's what I'm saying. Now it says timing of the summons and complaint. So you got to subpoena them, and then you have to put in the complaint just like they did to you on the third party, which is the attorney, the third party defendant. So you call them the third party defendant, and then you're the interest intervener. So you're a party that's really there because they put this action on you, but this allows you, if you know who the third party defendant is, you can name them. But then it gives you specific rules. And this came from www.law.cornell.education. So when you look and find Cornell Law School, or you look this up, the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, Part 3, Pleadings and Motions, Rule 14, Third Party Practice. When you look that up, you're going to find different links, and you look through till you find this document and do the research. So it says number 1, timing of the summons and complaint. A defendant party may as third party plaintiff. So you can be the plaintiff. It says that right off. You're a third party plaintiff. So you're going to step aside, you're going to name the person that's the defendant, and you're going to be turned into the plaintiff automatically if you choose to use this rule, Rule 14. And then serve the summons and complaint on the non-party who is or may be liable to it for all or part of the claim against it. But the third party plaintiff must, by motion, obtain court's leave if it files the third party complaint more than 14 days serving its original answer. So within 14 days, you put in that you're naming the third party defendant and you're the third party plaintiff. So you write it up just like they do, and it switches it all. So then it turns your attorney into the defendant. Isn't America great? I mean, really, because that is shocking to me, and it should be shocking to you also. Number 2, third-party defendant claims and defends the person served with the subpoena, and third-party complaint the third-party defendant. So name the attorney the third-party defendant, switch into the third-party plaintiff, and then submit it. And you know you can use the same language that was used against you against the attorney and do it exactly like that, but use the attorney's name as a third-party defendant. Change defendant into third-party defendant and put the third-party plaintiff at the top. Switch you to the top, and you're the plaintiff, and now your attorney's the defendant. Fantastic, isn't it? So then number 3, or A, must assert any defense against the third-party claim under Rule 12. So you're going to have to go look up Rule 12. And it'll be the same thing, Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, Rule 12. And it'll give you some more insight. B, must assert any counterclaim against the third-party defendant or the third-party plaintiff under Rule 13A, and may assert any counterclaim against third-party plaintiff under Rule 13B, or any cross-claim against third-party defendant under Rule 13G. So you have to go through this very carefully, read this out loud, and understand what this is saying. It's saying that you follow specific rules and use the language in these rules against the third-party defendant. Use the third-party plaintiff, which you turn into, use those rules and understand what they're telling you, how you have to act. So you switch them into the defendant. It's fantastic. C, may assert against the plaintiff any defenses that a third-party plaintiff has to the plaintiff's claim. So you can really tell the story that, they brought the action, they have to bring the remedy. They have to pay for it. And there's been, tales and stories about attorneys always have a checkbook in their pocket because they have to pay the claim because they're the defendant unless they get you to be the scapegoat. So there's a joke that everybody says that they have the checkbook in their pocket to pay it so they don't go to jail. So that's why they get you and convince you to be the defendant and all that stuff. D, may also assert against the plaintiff any claim arising out of the transaction or occurrence that the subject matter of the plaintiff's claim against the third-party plaintiff. So the thing about it is, the plaintiff never goes to jail, folks. The plaintiff never goes to jail. Very rarely does a plaintiff ever lose their children. If the action's brought against the plaintiff, then the defendant's in the hot seat. They don't want to hear nothing from the plaintiff except that person's guilty. And as soon as you switch that, they're going to be like, what do you got to say? And the attorney's going to be in big trouble because he's now the defendant. So it's shocking. And that's really the way I see it. 3, the plaintiff's claim against third-party defendant. The plaintiff may assert against the third-party defendant any claim arising out of the transaction or occurrence that is the subject matter of the plaintiff's claim against the third-party plaintiff. The third-party defendant must then assert in defense under Rule 12 and any counterclaim under Rule 13A, and may assert any counterclaim under Rule 13B or any cross-claim under 13G. So you got to look at what those are actually saying and read that over and over and over out loud, and you'll catch it. Take it one section at a time. Number 4, motion to strike, sever, or try to separate any party may move to strike the third-party claim, to serve it, or to try to separate it. So you can do it and exert your position to be a third-party plaintiff, to name the defendant, and then the third-party defendant can do a motion to strike what you did. So you have to understand what you're doing. You have to understand and look at it very carefully so you don't get any kind of surprises. You look at that 13A, the 12, the 13B, and the 13G. You look at that and understand what this is saying. Now, I'm not going to do all of it, but this is very relevant, so I'm going to, if you're excited by now like I am, I want to get through this, and it's just not that much more. Number 5, third-party defendant's claim against the non-party, which is the attorney. A third-party defendant may proceed under a rule against the non-party who is or may be liable to the third-party defendant or any other part of the claim against it. So, I know it gets a little twisted, but you read this out loud and take it section by section. Number 6, third-party complaint in rem. So look up in rem so you know what that is. If it is within the Admiralty or maritime jurisdiction, a third-party complaint may be in rem. Now that's special. In that event, a reference in the rule to the summons includes the warrant of arrest. Yes, you can get the third-party defendant arrested. Yes, you can. See how beautiful this is, especially if you understand. You start to make that, third-party plaintiff language and the third-party defendant language, and you've named the third party, and you go in there and you say that you did it under this rule, Rule 14, they're going to go along with you and they're going to issue a warrant for him. Imagine that. So that's very, very exciting when you look at that. It is to me. I don't know about you, but I'm getting tired of getting stepped on and beat down and plundered and all by all these people that aren't registered foreign agents, if you know what I'm saying. When appropriate, a person who asserts the right under Supplemental Rule C6AI in the property arrest. B, when a plaintiff may bring in a third party, when a claim is asserted against the plaintiff may bring the third party, and this rule would allow the defendant to do so. They're giving you permission, and you're allowed to do it. So then you have to have an admiralty claim or maritime claim. So understand to look at these little teeny things I've mentioned. Freeze the video, write this down, go look up, and there's a little bit more to it. And I'm sure that you could find a tremendous amount of stuff if you can understand really what this is telling you. But hopefully you understand the things that I've said, and I didn't get it too complicated. So any defendant can appoint a third-party defendant and make themselves automatically a third-party plaintiff, and the plaintiff never loses. I very rarely, I don't want to say never, very rarely has a plaintiff ever lost, in my opinion. I've seen thousands of cases, and they almost never lose. The actual defendant is the one that's in big trouble and has to answer for everything. They switch it all on them too. It's like a crazy as hell. You never seen nothing like it. They switch it on them and start looking at them and start telling them you better come up with some answers, and it's crazy because they won't work with them because they know you could have appointed them and you could have switched it all. The dog and pony show could have been on the judge. It could have been on the prosecutor. But the person that's done the damage to you and started this action and really gave up any harmless error or did everything behind your back was that attorney. He's the liar. He's the one that needs to be the defendant. He needs to pay for that. And this can be done in any case. I mean, you go look up the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, Rule 14, you're going to find this, and you're going to look at it very, very carefully. So, this is not for criminals. This is for people that get into a situation that who knows why someone did this to you or made this complaint, or basically you can get set up and you can be in there for nothing just because they say so. It's a horrible, horrible situation. And I've ran into just tons of people through the years that something bad happened because somebody went and lied on them a little bit, and it turned into a big old thing, and they went to jail and they had to pay a bond, and they did all these crazy things and had to pay attorneys. And a lot of people out there in YouTube land know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you're going on the idea that about 65% of the people are guilty and the rest of them are not guilty, or they've been tricked into it or coerced into it, or they make up stuff and they write out affidavits and notarize them, and they'll laugh right at you, because if you don't understand mechanisms like I've put in my videos, you're easy for them to get because you're not trained in the legalese or any of that type of stuff. So, they teach us one system and then they play another system on us. As you understand, there's all these different English languages. We were never trained to do things the way they do it. It's really horrible how a person that has worked their whole life and tried to do the right thing and was taught the right thing, and then all of a sudden the rug's pulled out from underneath them and they lose their home, their children, their wife, their money, their 401k, and just on and on and on. And if you have no issues, this is really great for someone like you. You could research this. If you're a person that's on probation or a person that understands you've been in trouble before, it would be a good time to do your due diligence and study and look things up and take notes and outline documents like this. And you're going to find this. It's it's in the top few things when you do the search under Federal Rules of Civil Procedure Title 3, Pleadings, Motions, Rule 14. If you go look at this, it has all this stuff in it that I mentioned, other rules, other sections, and you need to go back and read this after you print that off or you read these things out loud and understand this is one fantastic mechanism against tyranny. Now this is straight out of their Federal Rules of Civil Procedure. They're not hiding this. It's out there for normal, rational people that have been done wrong, or even not. You can use this to defend yourself. Now, if you're doing bad things and you're doing the wrong things, just like I said before, you're going to be in big trouble. They're going to get you sooner or later. So stop the shenanigans, get educated, understand what you're doing, get off your duff, watch these things and outline them. Please subscribe to my channel. Please give me a thumbs up. Please donate, tickle my donate button, and give me a call when you can. Hopefully this helps you out, and we'll talk to you soon.